Hello! Okay, so getting right into it, we're doing taco, beefy, bean, nacho cheese, Taco Bell inspired tacos, burritos. My husband likes eating out a lot, so when I do something that is inspired by fast food, he likes it. Something that's similar to something he's eaten before. And I'm pretty sure Taco Bell has some burrito that has nacho cheese and beef and beans, etc. Anyway, so I was like, let's do that. So we had all the ingredients except beef, and he was at the store getting beef anyways, so here I am cooking. I just added a little salt and a little pepper for a little flavor. Just warming up the nacho cheese sauce and the beans. So I think it's satisfying when the beans come out. They would not do that. I shook and shook and shook and shook. Finally it got out after I stabbed it with a knife. As I was getting it out, I put my daughter's hand, Pep's hand, on it because she wanted help, but I couldn't get it out. And so I put it on top, and so she felt like she helped get it out in the end. Also, I just put that jalapeno juice, La Costeña jalapeno juice from that jar, because we used pretty much all the jalapenos, but I wanted the flavor of the juice, so I saved it. And so that's how I flavored the beef, and it actually turned out very good. It wasn't spicy, it just had a nice, I don't know, zing to it, a nice little flavor. So salt, pepper, and a little bit of that juice, and it was perfect. And then the beans, I just added water to make them more spreadable. I don't like super thick refried beans. I like thinner refried beans. I don't mind if you put them on the plate and they sort of spread out a little bit. I do not mind that at all. I enjoy that. So I could have added some more of the jalapeno juice, but I didn't want it to all taste the same, so I'm just putting it together, spreading the beans. Also, the burrito after this, I put way more beans. I do enjoy beans, but this was like my test burrito, and I was like, more beans. The nacho sauce was perfect amount. You don't need very much. And this nacho sauce has a little bit of spice, so you can do whatever nacho sauce you want. Okay, moving on. Buffalo chicken wraps. So we had one very large chicken breast, and I was trying to use what we had, and I knew we had flour and cornstarch and some leftover buffalo sauce packets from different fast food places that needed used. So I was like, I will make buffalo chicken wraps. We have tortillas. My husband loves buffalo chicken and he loves wraps. So I was like, let's do that. Every time I make fried chicken, I think I know what I'm getting myself into. And every time I'm like, what did I do? So here I'm just adding a little bit of milk. I saw a recipe you added milk. I usually would just do water, but we had milk, and my husband will go through like a half of that half gallon, and then the rest will go to waste. I don't know why. He just gets tired of whatever he bought the milk for. We don't drink a lot of milk in the house, so really I just didn't want it to go to waste. So I used milk like I don't remember who it was. Somebody, maybe on YouTube, Simply Mama Cooks, maybe? I don't know. I watch a lot of cooking videos because I need inspiration for what to cook. Sometimes it's just hard to just sit down and be like, what do I want to make? So I look at Pinterest and all this stuff, so I'm not exactly sure where I got the recipe, but it could be that. I have been watching a lot of her lately for fun. So it's just milk, cornstarch, and flour in the wet, and then in the dry, it's just cornstarch and flour. I put a little more cornstarch than flour because I wanted this chicken extra crispy, and I found that the cornstarch is what makes it crispy. Flour sometimes is just soggy. So this is a leftover one from McDonald's. I'm not sure when, but McDonald's sauces last forever, and I added it into the wet mixture along with some salt and pepper because I thought, maybe I would be extra tasty. Maybe I can get that spice in the outside shell. Really, it just was very flavorful in the end. It didn't taste like spicy buffalo sauce, but I did enjoy the flavor, so I would definitely do it again. If I wanted more of the spice, I would have to add more chili powder, more spicy buffalo sauce or something, I guess, to the actual mixtures. My pan was a little too hot. The first piece got cooked so fast. Well, the outside did. I had to take it out when it was like really dark and then put it back in when the oil was a little cooler. Also, I totally did this backwards. You dip it in the dry first and then the wet. I don't know what was going through my mind, but I did about half of them this way, and then I was like, what am I doing? I didn't video when I switched, but yes, dip in the dry first, okay? Dry first, then the wet. It makes it so much better, I personally think. You'll see the difference when I show you a picture of the end shot of the fried chicken. Which one is dipped in the wet and then the dry, or the dry and then the wet. I really enjoyed this, and I'll let you listen to the crackling of the oil. Yum, yum, yum. It was delicious. It turned out delicious. Okay, so the top was dipped in the wet and then the dry. The bottom was dipped in the dry and then the wet, so looks better too. So cut up some tomato, lettuce, some cheese, and you got your buffalo wrap. Right here I'm like testing out how much chicken is a good fit. I'm like, that feels good, but I love buffalo sauce for the most part. Most buffalo sauce, Frank Red Hot. If we have that, I would use it. I keep telling my husband we need to get a giant thing of it. I would use it up. I love hot sauce. Okay. Moving on. Crustless Quiche. Asparagus, mushroom, onion, Crustless Quiche. It is good. I actually will put the link below where I found this recipe. I can't remember off the top of my head where I got it, but I will put the link for sure. And I would 100% recommend this recipe. I love it. I mean, you probably should like onions and mushroom and asparagus, but honestly, when it's all put together, it just has a very good, well-balanced, blended flavor. Also, I was trying this technique you see all over YouTube. Get a damp napkin or paper towel and wipe your mushrooms. I was getting so frustrated. I washed them, and then I added a little bit of wiping on the stem, and I thought, okay, from now on I will do half wash, half wipe, because oh my gosh, I'm just used to washing it, but I wash it so quick that I can't really soak up that much water, and I cook it in such a way that it's never soggy. So just saying, I'm not doing the whole wipey thing. I got a little babe. Can't spend all my time wiping for an hour or two. 5 mushrooms. Okay, so I cooked the asparagus first because it was frozen. Well, it wasn't all the way frozen. I had thawed it some, but it was still a little frozen. So I thought, okay, I'll throw that in while I cut the mushroom, because it needs to thaw a little and get rid of, you know, when stuff freezes, sometimes it gets that layer of like water on the outside. Need to get rid of that. So that's in there while I'm cutting up my onion. Okay guys, I cried. I haven't been using onions very much until this video, this week, because they kind of stink, like with the Parosmia smell. So I started using them this week, and honestly, when I threw this in the pan, after I bawled my eyes out after cutting it, when I threw it in the pan, it started smelling pretty darn bad. But I thought, I'm gonna go with it because I have got food, like curry from a Indian restaurant place that had onions in it, and I couldn't tell. Like, I couldn't taste the bad smell of the onions. So I was like, I'm just gonna go for it. If it stinks while I'm cooking it, I'm just gonna go forward. Keep going. See how it turns out in the end. And hope that if I hate it, that Pep will like it. Newsflash, she did not like it. She took one bite and she didn't even chew it, and she spit it out. And I was like, oh man. But I was glad I forged forward because it was great. It was grand. It was really good. Again, 10 out of 10. Recommend 100%. It was bomb. So I added the onions, cooked them for a minute to kind of get them going, and then I added the mushrooms because, yes, the mushrooms needed time to get the liquids out. And the butter, I wanted them to soak up some of the butter. My favorite thing to cook mushrooms in is butter. So great. If you don't like mushrooms, cook them in some butter and turn the heat up to like a medium high so you can kind of get like a golden brown on some of them so they're not soggy. It's so good. When I was growing up, when I was little, I hated mushrooms until one day my mom had cooked some in some butter. She cooked it great. I liked them. Sometimes it just takes one good experience with something and then you just like it after that. And that's what happened with me and mushrooms. Okay, so this recipe, it doesn't call for Italian seasoning. It calls for like basil or something, or thyme, maybe both. But I don't have basil or thyme or anything fresh, or so I use Italian seasoning because it has all that in it, and I learned that from, what's her name, Kim. Oh, the Wads. Italian seasoning. I did learn that from her. I do pick up some tricks from YouTube. She used Italian seasoning instead of a lot of that stuff. And it's great. You spend way less money at the store buying just Italian seasoning instead of 10 different spices. Okay, so I added mozzarella cheese. Probably not quite a cup, but I did add some. And then I put the vegetables in, mixed them around. Okay guys, I know some of you will probably be like, don't use the springform pan or whatever this is called for it. But honestly, I don't have that many pans. I don't have a glass pan. I only have 2 pans like this. So I used this one. And it looks beautiful. I loved it so much. The cheese, the mushrooms, the asparagus, nothing took over, another flavor. Just so perfect. The lady who made this recipe, congratulations. You found one of my new favorite ways to make eggs. Okay, so here I am. I had to show you the mozzarella cheese bowl. It was to die for. So delicious. Excuse my chewing. I look like a monster. 10 out of 10. 100%. Everybody eat it. Alright, next dinner. I needed something simple. Fussy baby. Just egg burritos. It's also only Pep and I ate this. I don't even remember what Tony wanted to eat, but Pep and I ate this and it was good. Sometimes it just simpler the better in life. Just egg, salt, pepper, spinach. I wasn't even originally going to do spinach, as you saw in the beginning. Don't think I showed you spinach, but I pulled it out, ripped it up in my hand, gave it to Pep, and she threw it in, and she wanted to make faces at the camera. Beautiful egg pan. And okay, so I forgot the mayonnaise on the tortillas. Also, we just used like miniature flour tortillas. I didn't want all that extra material of the tortillas. Sometimes the big ones are just too much tortilla, getting stuck to the roof of your mouth. The original egg burrito that I made was just mayonnaise, egg, and a little bit of hot sauce. It's really good. If that's all you ever have, it's great. Want a bite?
Got cheese.
I'll take a bite. Ready? Mmm.
I take my too.
Okay.
Have cheese.
Take a bite. Mmm. Is it yummy? Good, huh? Okay, everybody. BBQ Lentil Meatballs. This was another hit. It was also another recipe from the lady who made the Crustless Quiche from before. It was good. It was like a vegan recipe. I don't know. She put like in the ingredients vegan Worcestershire and vegan barbecue sauce. I didn't even know that those had some sort of animal product in them. But I just used what we had. So I don't know whether they were vegan or not. But if you have vegan Worcestershire sauce and vegan barbecue sauce, then go right ahead and make this thing vegan. I also, after months of having that nasty Parosmia taste of meat and basically only eating sausage, I realized I could eat non-smoked porks. I realized I ate so much meat, so I needed to cut it back. So I was going a little vegetarian, vegan on some of these meals. Woohoo! Does anybody else have that urge to just throw their vegetables in the air after they cut them? I definitely do. I tried to hold back. I just threw them a little bit. Also totally spilled the oil there. So I threw them a little bit into the air. I only dropped one mushroom on the ground. Okay, while that cooked, it said to blend half of the lentils. So there's 2 cups of cooked lentils here. So I only have this tiny food processor. It really wanted me to blend half the lentils and the mushrooms and onions together in a food processor. But since I have a tiny one, I just did the lentils first, and then half of the mushrooms and onions, and then the other half of the mushrooms and onions, and then threw them in a bowl and mixed them. It kind of looked like refried beans, a very light colored refried beans. I did use brown lentils. And if you guys are experienced in buying lentils in the US, brown lentils are way cheap. And you guys, honestly, as this was one of my first time buying lentils, and they are super cheap and they grow quite a bit. I had no idea how much I needed to make 2 cups in the end. I should have googled it, but instead I was adventurous and I guessed. They look so tiny, so I didn't know how much they were gonna grow. I didn't remember. It's been a while since I ate them, so I did like 1 3/4 cups. Well, guys, that made about 4 cups of lentils. Wow, boy, howdy, they doubled in size. Here I'm just shredding some breadcrumbs. I had some gluten-free breadcrumbs. Also, I just wanted to eat like a big hefty steak with that. Some A1. Anyway, so I was shredding those breadcrumbs. I had some Udi's bread, gluten-free, I used, and I just had it in my freezer. It had been frozen in there for months and months, like, honestly, at least minimum 6 months. Minimum. Probably more like 9 months. It had been in my freezer. 7 months? Probably 7. I'll go with 7. Who knows? I just needed to use it. So the crust was a little too hard, so I just picked off of the insides and used the rest of it. I wanted to show you that's about the consistency. It was sticking together quite well, but not 100%. Anyway, so then after I mixed the mushroom and onion and the bean mixture, well, the lentil mixture together, I put the other half of the lentils, the cup of rice, and the half a cup of breadcrumbs. Really, I don't know if it was half a cup, maybe between 1/4 and 1/2 a cup of breadcrumbs in the end, but I used what I had. I wanted it to be gluten-free. My daughter, Pep, has just had dark circles under her eyes no matter how much she sleeps. She'll sleep for like 10 hours at night and then she still does, so just trying to do a little less gluten and dairy. We don't need a ton anyways, but I thought I'd try cutting it out even more. Also less sugar. Her dad is addicted to sugar. I'm less addicted to sugar, but I still love a good ice cream cone. You invite me for some ice cream? I'm going. So there's some garlic and some Italian seasoning. Again, it called for like thyme and cilantro or basil or something, but I used the Italian seasoning again because way cheaper. That's what I had. Little salt, pepper, Italian seasoning, garlic. It was delicious. With this sort of recipe, I do try to follow it more because it's got to stick together. So because I needed it to stick together because it's supposed to be like a meatball, a meatless meatball, I followed a little more. Besides like the spices, I did just kind of wing those. I was like, that looks good. That looks good. Yeah. And the Italian seasoning, oh my gosh. I thought maybe I should add some more. And then I thought I'll just sprinkle some on the top if it needs it. I added some oats right there. It's like 2/3 cup and a 1/4 cup of barbecue sauce. A couple tablespoons of Worcestershire. But what was I saying? Yeah, I needed it to stick together because it's meatballs. So I followed it a little better, except the spices. The Italian seasoning, I almost did add more. But when I pulled it out, it was like, the aroma was so good. You could smell the Italian seasoning. I just wanted to breathe in these meatless meatballs, lentil meatballs. Delish. I did sprinkle a little more on the end for effect, but I just sprayed that pan with some avocado oil. I just like avocado oil. The only really 2 oils I use are avocado oil and coconut oil. So when I'm cooking savory things, avocado oil, sweet things, coconut oil. Just how I roll. Beautiful. Pep on it helps. I let her help me fill the little pan. They also look like no-bake cookies. Maybe because of the oatmeal and the color, but my daughter was like, "Oh, Peppy want a cookie?" And I was like, these aren't cookies. Remember, you helped me make them. No. So it said 10 minutes, flip them in another 10 minutes. I used the big scoop because I wanted some hefty ones. So honestly, could have probably used a little more time, but I mean, I did add more time on mine. But maybe use a smaller scoop if you want smaller ones. But this was my dinner. It was delicious and very filling. I ate 3 and good.